Okay, so here's a response to a question I got in my inbox, and I want to just address it through video because because I wasn't able to answer it. Every time I press send, it says that the person who asked the question is blocked contacts or something. So I'm unable. I've tried to say thank you, by the way, to that questioner for different compliments and whatnot and other statements they've made. Every time I try to send the response, my computer tells me it won't send. So I think you have me blocked or something. So maybe you have everybody blocked, and that's why your site is sending out that message. But in any event, this has got to do with the Antichrist question, rebuilding the temple. And I'll just read from 2 Thessalonians, because this is kind of where we're headed. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sits in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. So that's basically the crux of it. There are other passages in the Bible that you could arguably say are parallel to this passage that I just read. So what do I think about that? I think that with respect to the potential of a literal fulfillment, a literal rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem at some point in our future, and then the Antichrist sitting in that temple and claiming to be God in some sort of fulfillment of an idea of the abomination of desolation. It's tough. It's a tough question. I'm still praying about it. I've been praying about it for many, many years. I will continue to pray about this. The questioner raises what I believe is the crucial question on the point. I don't think that I would be honest in saying that I had an answer. I can say I have a kind of a theory. I have a sense of what the fulfillment of that will be. I wouldn't be surprised if I was wrong in my sense or my theory. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some kind of situation that led to the actual reconstruction of the temple there. But because there's a lot of things going on in Israel that seem to track a return to a very orthodox and fundamental Jewish faith that could include sacrifices and whatnot. But my sense is that that's not what's going to happen. My sense is that the Antichrist is going to be a militant atheist, because it says in that text that I just read that he opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped. And to me, that means that this Antichrist is going to be both an antichrist and anti-religious, kind of generically. He opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sits in the temple of God, claiming that he is God. And I think that kind of in the old-fashioned Roman version of what mankind is or what a man can be, that kind of take the whole concept of an idol as a human idol, and just multiply that, expand that, and then do that with some kind of trend that will take place in the future. And I think it's possible that an atheist, a militant, overtly kind of famous atheist, as it were, a political figure, maybe an economic figure as well, but certainly not someone who is in any way traditionally religious. He's not going to, according to this scripture, he can't be a Muslim. He wouldn't be a Catholic. He's not going to be the Pope or something. I mean, I think that he's going to be militantly atheist, just stridently atheist. And so I think that's who the Antichrist is going to be. But again, that's a theory. That's just a sense I have of how that's going to be fulfilled. If they started rebuilding the temple, I would just say, okay, well, I was wrong, or my sense was wrong. But we'll see. I think that my sense has always been, I've majored in history, so I do think that I have a certain perspective on history. And I think that if you look at history, you can see that there are sometimes big monolithic trends, changes, paradigm shifts in history that are just, if you looked at them in hindsight, you'd say, wow, everything changed. The Enlightenment was such a paradigm shift. The Dark Ages began, I believe, with a massive paradigm shift. And over the course of many, many decades and hundreds of years, you know, the entire history of the world changes. But if you look back in time, you can see that there were actual points of departure for those big, huge changes. And I think that one of the changes that we are right in the beginning of is a change towards a very secular and growing atheist point of view in the world. And I think that that's going to accelerate, and that it is going to combine with kind of the spirit of Antichrist and produce a world political scene where that could happen. And I believe, you know, with communism and socialism and like China and the old Soviet Union, you had, you know, actual political systems that were officially atheist in their point of view. In other words, it wasn't just like, well, you know, privately, nobody believed in God. No, it was the official position that there was no God. You know, I think it is the official position of the Chinese government today that there is no God. Now, I don't know that that's a hard and fast kind of enforced reality over there at this time. I'm sure that you know, some other people have more information on that. I think that it's still the official position of communist China that there is no God. But my sense is that that's going to either resurge or move into a much more kind of bigger paradigm shift, and that's going to produce this figure the Bible refers to as the Antichrist. I do believe that figure is going to see Christianity as his primary focus of whatever, revenge, hatred, you know, policy, etc. I think probably too that there's going to be some kind of catastrophic thing that happens on the earth that kind of moves the masses towards these kind of other positions, and that he will kind of sit in the seat of that change, and or at least ride the tide of that change. So that's what I would say. So I don't know. You know, the answer is I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if there's going to be a literal fulfillment of the rebuilding of the temple. If they start rebuilding the temple, I always have kind of been like waiting for that to happen. If it happened, I would just say, well, okay, you know, there's a literal fulfillment of that, and but we'll see. And I wouldn't discount that. I wouldn't just take it and write it off. I would keep an open mind on all of these prophetic things. I think we should keep an open mind and wait and pray and continue to study the Word and have, you know, schools of thought and understand where other people are coming from. I think that's the best route to take as Christians. The temptation to become locked into one position, I think, is you end up shooting yourself in the foot. I've shot myself in the foot many times, and so that's pretty much the answer. And maybe we can figure out how to unblock me so that when this particular viewer asks a question, I can get back to you. And all your questions are welcome, and they're good questions. I think we're on the same page. And my sense is, you know, that your kind of view, your paradigm, is probably, and I emphasize probably, but my sense is that it's probably right. But you never know.